Henrik nodded, stepping forward with a quiet firmness. The town watches, but it is your choice alone. Know that whatever you decide, you will not walk this path alone. Alara met their gazes, gratitude and determination stirring within her. She turned toward the workshop where Lucian waited, the faint glow of candlelight flickering behind the frosted windows. With steady steps, she crossed the square, every tick of the clocks echoing the rhythm of her resolve. Inside, Lucian stood amidst the myriad clocks that lined the walls, their faces frozen at varied hours, marking moments suspended in time. His youthful features were touched with a wistfulness that belied his ageless exterior. When he saw Alara, his expression softened, hope blossoming like the fragile first leaf of spring. "Have you decided?" he asked, his voice a tender whisper that seemed to still the very air. Alara reached out, taking his hands in hers, feeling the steady pulse beneath the silver pocket watch. "I have," she said, her voice trembling yet unwavering. "I choose us. I choose love, even if it means embracing the curse." A fragile smile curved Lucian's lips, tears glistening like dew in his timeless eyes. "Then we will face whatever comes together." As their hands entwined, the room seemed to breathe with them, the ticking clocks syncing to a new, gentle rhythm. Outside, the eternal autumn began to shift imperceptibly. The golden leaves shimmered with a delicate frost, and the air carried a fresh, invigorating chill. From the doorway, Mara and Henrik exchanged a glance, their hearts lifting at the subtle transformation. The curse's hold was loosening, and with it, the town's timeless prison began to unravel at the edges. Alara and Lucian stepped outside, their silhouettes framed by the dimming light of dusk. The world around them was both a promise and a challenge. A new rhythm had begun, one that would test their love and resilience, but also offer the hope of renewal. "What lies ahead?" Alara whispered. "I will face it with you." Lucian squeezed her hand gently. "And no matter the years, no matter the time, my heart will always find yours." Together they walked beneath the shifting sky, their footsteps a quiet cadence in the unfolding story of a love that would transcend time itself. The town's eternal autumn was no longer a prison, but a canvas for transformation, painted with the hues of sacrifice, hope, and enduring devotion. And as the last light faded, the ticking of the cursed timepieces softened, blending into the gentle heartbeat of a new beginning. The choice was made, the heart had spoken. And in that quiet moment, the timeless love of Alara and Lucian began to write its own legend, echoing through the ages like the steady, unending tick of a clock destined to beat forever. Yet even as hope blossomed, shadows lingered at the edges, whispering of challenges yet to come. For love, like time, was a force both beautiful and merciless, its true test only just beginning. And with a final glance toward the darkening horizon, Alara knew this was not an end, but the first breath of a new, eternal chapter. The night deepened, but the light within them burned brighter still, a beacon against the encroaching darkness, a promise that no matter what time may bring, their hearts would remain forever entwined. And so, beneath the ancient boughs and the watchful stars, the story of the clockmaker's son and the woman who loved him beyond time continued, timeless, unbroken, and infinitely hopeful. The end of one choice, the beginning of everything. "Come," Lucian whispered, "let us walk forward together." Alara smiled, her heart steady. Together. And with that, they stepped into the unknown, hand in hand, ready to face the endless ticking of time, their love a defiant, everlasting song. The workshop was quieter than it had been in weeks, the usual frantic ticking of countless clocks now softened to a gentle, rhythmic pulse that filled the room with a calm unlike any before. Alara sat beside Lucian, her fingers loosely intertwined with his, the warmth of his hand a comforting anchor amid the shifting tides of their lives. Through the dusty windows, the twilight filtered in, casting long, golden beams that danced with the motes of dust swirling in the cool autumn air. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, the oppressive weight of the curse seemed to lift, replaced by a fragile thread of hope. Lucian's striking blue eyes, still youthful and unyielding against the passing years, met Alara's green gaze with a softness that spoke of relief and cautious optimism. The silver pocket watch he kept close to his heart now ticked with a new rhythm, steady, measured, and less insistent, a subtle herald of the change unfolding within and around them. Outside the workshop, the town itself stirred with a gentle awakening. The trees that had long stood sentinel in eternal autumn began to shimmer with hues warmer than the usual burnt orange and faded gold. Leaves, once caught in a static dance, now rustled softly in a breeze that hinted at the first breath of seasonal renewal. The air carried a faint sweetness, a promise that the stasis imprisoning the town was loosening its grip. Alara rose and stepped to the window, pressing her palm against the cool glass as she watched a single leaf detach from its branch and drift lazily downward. A small smile tugged at her lips, a silent acknowledgement of the transformation beginning in earnest. Behind her, Lucian's voice broke the silence, quiet and steady. "It's as if the town itself is breathing again," he said, his eyes never leaving hers. "And maybe, so are we." The words carried the weight of their shared journey, the sacrifices, the heartbreak, and the enduring love that had sustained them through the darkest hours. Mara arrived shortly after, her silver hair catching the last rays of light as she carried a delicate clock mechanism in her hands. She settled near the hearth, her voice calm and reassuring as she spoke of balance. "Change requires sacrifice, yes," she said, "but it also demands hope. You both have given much, and now the town and your hearts can begin to heal." Henrik and Alaric met nearby in the town square, their usual wariness softened by the shifting atmosphere. The magistrate's stern features relaxed as he nodded respectfully to the craftsman, who offered a rare, genuine smile. The community, once held hostage by fear and superstition, sensed the dawn of a new era, one where the curse's shadow receded and possibility blossomed. Alara and Lucian's steps through the town were lighter now, their hands still clasped tightly as they moved beneath a sky tinged with the soft pinks and blues of approaching dusk. The ticking clocks, once a relentless reminder of the curse, now sang a gentler song, one of endurance, transformation, and the timeless power of love. As the night settled, the lovers paused on a quiet hill overlooking the town, the golden leaves swirling in a slow, graceful dance around them. They exchanged a look, a silent promise to face whatever came next together, bound by a love that had transcended time itself. The new rhythm they found was not without its bittersweet notes, but it was theirs to embrace, a testament to the sacrifices made and the hope that still burned bright. And as the first stars appeared overhead, the town's eternal autumn began to shimmer with the faintest hint of spring's promise. An enduring symbol that even the heaviest of curses could yield to the power of love and renewal. But beneath the serene surface, questions lingered. How would their timeless love evolve in this new world? What challenges lay ahead as the curse's hold loosened? And could the fragile peace they had won truly last? The ticking had slowed, but it had not stopped, and neither had their story. The golden light of the eternal autumn filtered softly through the amber canopy overhead, casting a warm glow upon the cobblestones of the town square. Alara sat beneath the sprawling branches of the great maple tree, its leaves drifting down in slow, swirling eddies around her. Her fingers trembled slightly as she held the parchment in her lap, the quill poised but hesitant. The distant, persistent ticking of clocks echoed faintly through the air, a haunting yet strangely comforting rhythm that seemed to pulse in time with her heartbeat. She dipped the quill in ink and began to write, her thoughts flowing in uneven waves. "Dear Isolde," she penned, "there are moments when the past weighs heavier than the present, when memories threaten to engulf the fragile peace I've found here. Yet, amidst the falling leaves and the endless ticking, I find myself learning to breathe again." Her words faltered as a breeze stirred the branches above, scattering a shower of leaves upon her shoulders and the parchment. A small, sad smile tugged at the corners of her lips. Writing to her childhood friend was a balm to her soul, a bridge to a world she had left behind but never fully escaped. The letters were a confession, a reckoning, and a hope for forgiveness both from others and herself. As the sun dipped lower, casting long, golden shadows, Alara folded the letter carefully and slipped it into the worn leather satchel at her side. She rose slowly, brushing stray leaves from her autumnal dress, and made her way toward the familiar comfort of Mara's apothecary. The bell tinkled softly as she entered, and the warm scent of herbs and aged parchment wrapped around her like a protective cloak. Mara looked up from her workbench, her silver hair glimmering in the soft lamplight. "Ah, Alara," she greeted, her voice a soothing murmur. "Come, sit. I have brewed something to calm your restless spirit." Alara sank into the worn wooden chair, the smooth surface cool beneath her fingers. Mara handed her a delicate porcelain cup filled with chamomile tea, the steam curling upward in gentle spirals. "Healing is not a swift journey," Mara said softly, "but a slow unfolding like the turning of a leaf in the wind. You must be patient with yourself." Alara nodded, feeling the warmth of the tea seep into her bones. "Sometimes I fear I'll never be free of what haunts me," she confessed, eyes downcast. "But with Lucian, there is a light I thought lost. Love has a way of mending even the deepest wounds," Mara replied, her gaze steady and kind. "But it requires courage and trust, both of which you have shown in abundance." Later that evening, the air crisp and tinged with the scent of wood smoke, Alara met Lucian outside beneath the fading light. The streets were scattered with golden leaves, their footsteps muffled against the soft carpet. Lucian's pale face was serene, his striking blue eyes reflecting the amber glow of lanterns as he took her hand in his. They walked slowly, the rhythmic ticking of clocks from nearby towers and houses weaving around them like a gentle melody. Lucian paused to adjust the silver pocket watch nestled in his vest pocket, its hands moving with an unwavering precision. Their eyes met, conveying a silent promise, a shared understanding of the sacrifices made and the hope that still flickered between them. "The town feels different tonight," Alara murmured, squeezing his hand. "As if the autumn itself is breathing with us." Lucian smiled faintly. "Perhaps it is. We are changing it just as it changes us." As darkness fell, Alara stood at her window, the cool night air brushing through the open pane. Lanterns cast pools of golden light onto the streets below, and the faint ticking of the town's clocks created a steady, calming rhythm. Lucian's presence behind her was a quiet reassurance, a constant warmth against the chill of the night. She leaned back into him, allowing herself to surrender to the moment, to the fragile peace that had begun to take root in her heart. The haunting past had not disappeared, but it no longer held dominion over her spirit. Here, in this town suspended in time, she had found a sanctuary in love and a path toward healing. Yet even as hope blossomed, a subtle tension lingered beneath the surface, the silent reminder that their peace was fragile, and the curse that bound them still pulsed with restless energy. But for now, Alara chose to embrace the quiet joy of this evening, the healing leaves of autumn whispering promises of renewal and resilience. And as the soft ticking of the clocks continued their endless song, she knew that whatever the future held, they would face it together, bound by love, strengthened by sacrifice, and buoyed by the fragile hope that even time itself could bend for those who dared to believe. The evening had settled over the town like a heavy velvet curtain. Its eternal autumnal hues deepened under the soft glow of lanterns lining the cobblestone streets. Inside the magistrate's study, Henrik sat alone, the weight of his office pressing down on him more heavily than usual. The flickering candlelight danced across the stacks of parchment, and ledgers sprawled across his oak desk, casting elongated shadows that seemed to twist and grow with his mounting unease. His fingers tapped absently against a leather-bound book as his mind replayed the events of recent weeks, the arrival of Alara, the strange, unyielding youth of Lucian, and the whispered tales of a curse that bound the Clockmaker's son to an existence out of time. Henrik had long prided himself on his pragmatic nature, his dedication to safeguarding the town and its traditions. Yet beneath his steadfast exterior, a quiet storm of doubt and sympathy brewed. He recalled Mara's words earlier that day, spoken softly in the dim apothecary where the scent of dried herbs and aged wood seemed to carry the weight of centuries. "The curse is not merely a burden but a bond," she had said, her silver hair catching the fading light as her eyes met his with quiet conviction. "It tests all who dwell here, but it also offers a path one found not in defiance, but in understanding and alliance." Henrik had listened, skepticism gnawing at him, yet also a flicker of hope. Could he, the protector of the town's fragile peace, afford to stand apart any longer? The thought of Alara, with her haunted green eyes and resilient spirit, and Lucian, whose timeless gaze held both sorrow and steadfast love, stirred something unfamiliar within him. As the mantle of night deepened, Henrik found himself compelled to act. He made his way through the winding streets, the crisp autumn air heavy with the scent of damp leaves and wood smoke. The soft rustling of trees and the steady ticking of clocks in the distance created a rhythm that seemed to pulse with the town's heartbeat. At the threshold of the clockmaker's workshop, Alara and Lucian awaited him, their figures bathed in the amber glow of the street lamps. Henrik's usual reserve softened as he stepped forward, his voice steady but laced with an unaccustomed vulnerability. "I have weighed my duty and my conscience," he began, "and I offer you my protection. The town's secrets are no longer yours alone to bear." Alara's eyes shimmered with cautious hope, while Lucian's pale face broke into a rare, grateful smile. In that moment, a fragile alliance was forged, a union of wills against the unseen forces that sought to unravel their lives. Days passed, and Henrik found himself drawn deeper into the lives of the lovers and the town's enigmatic past. In the quiet sanctum of the workshop, he observed Lucian with new eyes, the way his hands moved deftly among the gears and springs, restoring broken timepieces with patient care. The soft clicks and whirs of the clocks seemed to echo a newfound harmony, a rhythm born of trust and shared purpose. Henrik's internal conflict did not vanish overnight, but it transformed. Where once there was suspicion and duty at odds, now lay a resolve tempered by empathy. He understood that protecting this delicate balance required more than authority. It demanded courage and the willingness to embrace change. As the eternal autumn painted the town in shades of gold and amber, Henrik's decision breathed life into the fragile hope that the curse might one day be broken. Not through force, but through the enduring power of love and unity. The ticking clocks no longer sounded as ominous omens, but as heralds of a new rhythm, one that promised renewal and the possibility of a future where time, love, and sacrifice danced in harmonious accord. Yet, as the shadows lengthened and the night deepened, Henrik knew that the path ahead remained fraught with peril. The choice he had made could either save the town or unravel everything he had sworn to protect. With a steadying breath, he prepared to face whatever trials awaited, his heart quietly pledged to the fragile hope kindled in the autumnal twilight. The chapter closed on a note of tentative alliance and deepening resolve, leaving the question lingering in the chill night air. Could Henrik truly balance his loyalty to the town with his commitment to protect Alara and Lucian? The answer, like the ticking of the clocks that filled the streets, was yet to unfold. The amber light of the late afternoon filtered softly through the amber-hued glass of Alara's modest room, casting long, dappled shadows across the worn wooden floorboards. Outside, the eternal autumn breathed its golden breath through the branches of ancient trees, sending a gentle cascade of leaves twirling like slow, deliberate dancers to the ground. Alara sat by the window, the weight of a carefully sealed envelope resting on her lap. The paper was delicate, cream-colored, and the ink, though faded slightly by time and travel, bore the familiar looping script of Isolde, her childhood friend. The one thread still weaving through the tapestry of her fractured past. With trembling fingers, Alara broke the seal. The faint rustle of the letter was a whisper against the distant, steady ticking of the clocks that filled the town. Each tick was a reminder of time's unyielding march, yet here, in this town, time seemed to hold its breath, caught in a suspended dance of endless amber light. She unfolded the letter carefully, as if afraid to disturb the fragile words contained within. Dear Alara, the letter began, I have carried these words with me for years, waiting for the right moment to send them. I know the pain that shadows you, the betrayals that have torn at your heart. But you must know that in the threads of our past lie the keys to our future. Trust in yourself, as I have always trusted in you. Alara's breath caught as the memories surged, painful, raw, and yet somehow distant now, like shadows receding with the setting sun. Isolde's words reached into the deepest corners of her heart, urging her to release the burdens she had carried alone for so long. Tears blurred her vision, but they were tears of release, not despair. In the quiet that followed, a soft knock at the door signaled Lucian's arrival. He entered with the familiar grace that had become a balm to Alara's restless soul. His blue eyes, timeless and deep, held a mixture of reverence and quiet strength. He took the letter from her hands and read the words silently, his gaze lifting to meet hers with a steady warmth. She has always believed in you, Lucian said softly, even when you could not believe in yourself. Their conversation drifted naturally to more somber recollections. Lucian spoke of his father, the clockmaker whose obsession with mastering time had wrought the curse that bound him. The torment his father endured was etched into every tick of the clocks that surrounded them, a symphony of hope, despair, and regret. He was a man caught between genius and madness, Lucian confided, his voice barely above a whisper. His desire to conquer time was born from love, but it became his prison and ours. Alara reached out, her fingers brushing his pale hand. In that touch lay an unspoken promise, to face the curse, the past, and whatever future awaited them, together. As twilight deepened, the two walked through the narrow cobblestone streets of the town. The air was crisp, filled with the scent of damp earth and fallen leaves. Their footsteps echoed softly, mingling with the rustle of the trees and the distant, persistent ticking that seemed to pulse like a heartbeat through the very fabric of the town. Alara felt the weight of her former fears begin to lift, replaced by a gentle strength born from acceptance and love. The past was no longer a chain, but a foundation, a tapestry of experiences that had brought her here, to this moment, beside Lucian. At the hearth, bathed in the warm glow of flickering flames, Alara reread Isolde's letters. Each word was a thread weaving closure into the tattered edges of her heart. Lucian sat close, his steady presence a shield against the shadows of doubt and fear. We are bound, he said quietly, not just by the curse, but by the choices we make. And I choose you, Alara, beyond time, beyond fear. Her gaze met his, and in that shared look was the promise of a future neither could yet fully see, but both were ready to face. The ticking of the clocks softened, becoming a gentle lullaby that cradled their hearts as they embraced the uncertain journey ahead. Yet, as the flames flickered and the night deepened, a quiet question lingered in the air: how much of the past must they unravel to truly break free? And what sacrifices would the threads of time demand from their entwined souls? The answer would come soon enough, carried on the whispers of the autumn wind and the steady rhythm of ticking hearts. The late afternoon sun filtered through the narrow cracks of the workshop's ancient wooden shutters, casting long, angular beams that danced across the dust particles suspended in the stale air. Lucian stood silently at the threshold of the hidden chamber, his pale blue eyes wide, reflecting both the flickering candlelight and the weight of memories long buried beneath layers of silence and shadow. Alara's hand found his warm and steady, grounding him as they stepped deeper inside. The room was a shrine to time's cruel artistry, walls lined with clocks of every size and design, their hands frozen at various moments, as if the very fabric of time had splintered within these walls. Strange contraptions, some humming faintly, others silent and foreboding, cluttered worn tables and shelves. The scent of aged wood mingled with the metallic tang of gears, and the faint bitterness of burnt parchment filled the air, a sensory testament to the clockmaker's obsession. Lucian's footsteps echoed softly as he approached a heavy oak desk, its surface cluttered with yellowed journals and scattered blueprints. He gingerly lifted a leather-bound volume, its spine cracked and delicate. The pages whispered secrets as he turned them, revealing his father's meticulous notes, feverish experiments with time manipulation. Desperate attempts to capture and bend the elusive flow of seconds and minutes. Alara watched him quietly, her emerald eyes reflecting the golden candlelight, her presence a silent anchor amid the storm of emotions swirling within the chamber. The room seemed to pulse with a life of its own, shadows flickering against the walls as if the very past sought to resist their intrusion. Lucian's voice broke the silence, low and unsteady. He was consumed by the idea that time was something to be mastered, not endured. Father believed he could conquer it, but instead he unleashed a curse. His fingers trembled slightly as they traced the faded ink, the weight of his father's torment etched into every line. Alara squeezed his hand, silently offering comfort. "I have lived in the shadow of that curse for so long," Lucian continued, his gaze distant yet piercing. "Trapped in this endless youth, watching seasons change without myself changing. It's a prison built on love and loss intertwined." Alara stepped closer, her voice soft but resolute. "You are not alone, Lucian. Whatever chains bind you, we'll find a way through together." A sudden draft stirred the candle flames, casting the shadows into retreat. For a fleeting moment, the oppressive gloom lifted, and a faint, golden light filtered through the cracks above, bathing the room in a hopeful glow. It was as if the house itself recognized the weakening grip of a curse long held too tightly. Outside, the town seemed to breathe anew. The eternal autumn's hues shimmered with richer warmth. Leaves caught the light in a sparkling dance, no longer muted or lifeless. The ticking of the clocks, once urgent and relentless, softened into a gentle rhythm, like a heartbeat steadying after a long strain. Lucian exhaled a mixture of relief and sorrow washing over him. Facing this, understanding it, it changes everything. The curse feels less like a sentence and more like a challenge now. Alara smiled, her eyes shining with tears she refused to shed. "And I'll be with you, every step of that journey." As they left the chamber, the weight between them shifted, no longer a heavy burden, but a shared story of sacrifice, hope, and love that defied time. The shadows that had once clung so fiercely to their lives began to dissipate, revealing the faintest hints of dawn breaking through eternal autumn's grasp. Yet, even as hope blossomed, the echoes of the past lingered, whispering that the road ahead would demand courage beyond what either could yet imagine. The clockmaker's shadow had been confronted, but its true end was still to be written in the rhythm of ticking hearts and the timeless bond between two souls daring to defy fate. With Lucian and Alara stepping into the cooling twilight, the town around them stirring with subtle signs of change, their intertwined hands a promise and a question. Could love, nurtured in the shadows of sacrifice, truly rewrite the fate inscribed by time itself? The ticking clocks softened, but their song was far from over, and the next moment awaited heavy with possibility, fragile as a falling leaf. The soft glow of lanterns bathed Alaric's workshop in a warm amber light as Lucian and the craftsman bent over a large wooden table strewn with delicate clock parts. The rhythmic ticking of countless clocks, each at different stages of repair, filled the room with a steady heartbeat that seemed to echo the pulse of the town itself. Alaric's hands, rough and steady from years of labor, moved with practiced precision as he guided Lucian through the delicate process of fitting a new gear into the ancient mechanism that had long governed the town's central clock tower. Lucian's youthful face was a mixture of concentration and awe as he watched Alaric's every movement. The clockmaker's son, cursed to remain forever young by a family secret, found a strange solace in the meticulous work that Alaric performed. Here, among the cogs and springs, the weight of his eternal youth seemed less a burden and more a challenge.